the whispers of war, beyond the history books. These whispers are not just echoes of the past, but voices that have shaped our present and will continue to influence our future. World War II, a titanic clash of ideologies, nations and men. It was a conflict that reshaped borders, redefined power, and left an indelible mark on the human psyche. We think we know the story: Hitler's ambition, Pearl Harbor, the Holocaust. These are the headlines, the major events that dominate our textbooks and documentaries. But history, like an old building, hides secrets in its foundations. Beneath the surface, there are layers of untold stories, hidden agendas, and forgotten heroes. This is a story of whispers, of events overlooked, of decisions made in the shadows. It's about the moments that didn't make the front page, but were pivotal in shaping the course of history. It's a journey into the untold stories behind the Second World War, stories of bravery, betrayal and resilience that have been buried under the weight of more prominent narratives. We'll unearth forgotten treaties, expose economic manipulations and explore political blunders. These are the threads that, when woven together, reveal a more complex and nuanced picture of the war. These are not just historical footnotes, they are crucial pieces of the puzzle, helping us understand how a continent and then the world plunged into darkness. They offer insights into the human condition, the fragility of peace, and the resilience of the human spirit. They are crucial pieces of the puzzle, helping us understand how a continent and then the world plunged into darkness. Each piece, no matter how small, adds depth and dimension to our understanding of this monumental conflict. Join me, not as passive listeners, but as historical detectives. Together we will sift through the evidence, question the accepted narratives, and seek out the hidden truths. Let's dust off the archives and listen closely. The past has a voice, and it speaks to those who are willing to hear. It tells us of the sacrifices made, the lessons learned, and the warnings that echo through time. The whispers of war await. They are the stories that demand to be heard, the truths that seek the light, and the lessons that must not be forgotten. Join me on this journey beyond the history books, into the heart of the past. The hidden hand of economics, desperation and desire. The Great Depression. This wasn't just an economic downturn, it was a societal earthquake. Germany, burdened by reparations from the First World War, was hit particularly hard. Unemployment soared, resentment festered, and extremist ideologies found fertile ground. Meanwhile, across the globe, nations were scrambling for resources and markets. Japan, a rising industrial power, felt constrained by Western powers. Its expansionist ambitions, fueled by a need for raw materials, set it on a collision course with its neighbours. Seeds of revenge, the Treaty of Versailles and its discontents. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, was intended to bring a lasting peace after the devastation of World War I. However, it quickly became a source of deep resentment and anger, particularly in Germany. The Treaty of Versailles, meant to end all wars, instead sowed the seeds for another. The treaty imposed harsh penalties and reparations on Germany, which many Germans felt were unjust and humiliating. The economic strain and national humiliation created a fertile ground for discontent. Germany, forced to accept blame and crippling reparations, felt humiliated. The economic hardships and loss of territory only added to the sense of injustice. This collective national humiliation was a wound that festered in the German psyche. This resentment, skillfully exploited by Hitler and the Nazis, became a powerful tool for their rise to power. Hitler's rhetoric tapped into the anger and frustration of the German people, promising to restore Germany's former glory and overturn the Treaty of Versailles. The treaty's harsh terms, while understandable given the devastation of the First World War, created a dangerous undercurrent of anger and resentment. Protests and political instability became common as the German people struggled under the weight of the treaty's demands. It was a wound that never truly healed, festering for 2 decades until it finally erupted in renewed conflict. The unresolved issues and lingering bitterness from the Treaty of Versailles set the stage for World War II, demonstrating how the seeds of revenge can grow into a devastating storm. a web of secret agreements, pacts and plots. The years leading up to World War II were marked by a series of secret agreements and backroom deals. These pacts, hidden from public view, often contradicted official pronouncements of peace and diplomacy. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, for example, a non-aggression pact between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, shocked the world. It also secretly divided Eastern Europe into spheres of influence, paving the way for future conflict. The failure of appeasement, emboldening a tyrant, appeasement. It's a word synonymous with the failures of pre-war diplomacy. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, hoping to avoid another devastating war, chose to appease Hitler's demands. The annexation of Austria, the Sudetenland crisis, each concession emboldened Hitler, convincing him that the Western powers lacked the stomach for a fight. Appeasement, while perhaps well-intentioned, only delayed the inevitable and made the eventual conflict even more devastating. Section 6, the Spanish Civil War, a proving ground for total war. While not a direct cause of World War II, the Spanish Civil War served as a tragic dress rehearsal. Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy, eager to test their new weapons and tactics, intervened on the side of Franco's nationalists. The conflict witnessed horrific atrocities, such as the bombing of Guernica, a chilling foreshadowing of the horrors to come. It also hardened ideological divides and further destabilized an already fragile Europe. Section 7, the shadow of ideology, fascism, communism, and the clash of ideas. World War II wasn't just a clash of nations, it was a clash of ideologies. Fascism, with its emphasis on nationalism, militarism, and authoritarianism, offered a seductive alternative to the perceived failures of liberalism and democracy. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, under Stalin's brutal rule, presented a communist model that challenged the capitalist West. These competing ideologies created a climate of fear, suspicion, and ultimately conflict. Section 8. The fog of propaganda, shaping public opinion and justifying aggression. Propaganda played a crucial role in shaping public opinion and justifying aggression. In Germany, the Nazis skillfully used radio, film, and print media to spread their message of racial hatred and national superiority. These messages, often based on lies and distortions, demonized enemies, glorified war, and prepared the German people for conflict. Propaganda, a powerful weapon in the hands of totalitarian regimes, helped pave the way for war. Section 9. Forgotten players, the role of smaller nations in the larger conflict. While the major powers dominate the narrative of World War II, it's important to remember the contributions and sacrifices of smaller nations. Countries like Poland, Belgium, and the Netherlands found themselves caught in the crossfire, their citizens enduring occupation, resistance, and unimaginable suffering. Their stories, often overshadowed by the larger conflict, serve as a reminder of the global impact of the war and the courage displayed by ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances. Section 10. Echoes of the past. The world has seen the devastating consequences of ignoring the lessons of history. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, casts a long shadow over the present. The scars it left behind are still visible in many parts of the world. As we delve into the untold stories and hidden causes, we uncover the complex web of events that led to such widespread devastation. We're forced to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature, our capacity for hatred, our susceptibility to manipulation, and the ease with which societies can be led astray. Our willingness to believe lies, especially those that promise simple solutions to complex problems, has repeatedly paved the way for conflict. And the fragility of peace, often taken for granted, is a lesson we must never forget. Peace is not merely the absence of war, but a continuous effort to understand and respect one another. The echoes of the past serve as a stark reminder that the lessons of history are easily forgotten. Nationalism, economic instability, and the rise of authoritarian regimes are not just relics of the past, but ongoing threats. The failure to confront aggression, whether out of fear or complacency, remains a clear and present danger in our world today. We must remain vigilant, learning from the past to safeguard our future.